Zombies seem to be everywhere these days, appearing in alarming numbers with disturbing frequency across the entire interactive medium. Like the gunmen of Red Dead Redemption, the gangsters of the Yakuza series are experiencing their own undead nightmare with the tongue-in-cheek and entirely non-canon spin-off, Dead Souls. And they survive the transformation. It's not immediately clear who's responsible, but when a zombie outbreak hits the fictionalized entertainment district of Kamurocho, organized crime groups and the general populace alike are plunged into chaos as the self-defense force attempts to quarantine large areas of the city. Meanwhile, a handful of the city's biggest players, who happen to also be its most serious ass-kickers, are attempting to look after their own, figure out who's behind the outbreak, and save their town. It's clear that Dead Souls isn't taking itself completely seriously, but there's still an effort to tell a coherent story through cutscenes and text dialogue. It's all surprisingly well developed, but the overlong cutscenes occasionally bog things down. As events unfold, you'll find yourself alternately learning about long-standing beefs between clans and navigating wacky scenarios that frequently play the zombie catastrophe for grim laughs. Regardless of how familiar you are with the series, characters like the delightfully unhinged Majima are charismatic and likable, rolling gamely with whatever improbable plot twists come their way. A flavorful localization is also an asset, letting a lot of humor come through. Dead Souls inherits the free-roaming design of past Yakuza games to some extent, but the gradual contraction of the safe zone and the sense of urgency carried by key missions give the game a somewhat claustrophobic feeling. It's appropriate considering the circumstances, but it also creates a hard separation between combat time and chilling out time that can cause weird lapses in tension. You can venture out into the quarantine zone at any time in search of side quests, which involve doing good deeds like rescuing survivors or liberating besieged businesses, but if you're not a completionist by nature, the rewards are minor. You'll kill so many zombies over the course of the game, tracked Dead Rising style with a persistent kill count display, that wading back into the swarm when it isn't absolutely necessary doesn't seem that appealing. Not every activity in the game is likely to call to you, but there's an incredible number of heroic undertakings and leisure activities available, giving the game a long potential life. You'll switch between 4 main characters as the story progresses, each with access to 1 or 2 unique weapons and several side stories. You do gain experience and level up, although your progress is shared across all characters, increasing your life bar as the game progresses in difficulty and passing along any useful skills to the next guy in line. Trying to maneuver around and shoot zombies in Dead Souls initially feels even weirder than the game's goofy premise. The non-standard control scheme takes some getting used to, and manual aiming can first seem either too slow or too twitchy. Once you get the hang of strafing and quickly locking onto heads for a quick pop though, zombie slaying becomes second nature despite its general awkwardness. The hyper-violent brawling that defines other Yakuza games has been almost entirely excised in favor of an arsenal of guns that are well differentiated from one another and feel like they pack an appropriate punch. Upgrades to each weapon result in noticeable improvements, and the increased power makes it feel worthwhile to haul rare materials in your cluttered inventory. You'll throw in a kick or shoulder charge from time to time, or grab the occasional sturdy object to swing around, but since you're guaranteed to have at least one weapon with infinite ammunition on hand at all times, shooting zombies in the head is generally the most effective strategy. Dead Souls introduces new enemy types at a gradual pace, including agile skater zombies and exploding fat men, many of which you'll find awfully familiar if you're a zombie game aficionado. The sheer volume of fodder you'll deal with will sometimes make the experience feel like a slog, even if you choose not to pursue the side quests. The freakish and challenging boss monsters, on the other hand, are a definite treat, and the pacing dramatically improves in the final act. Yakuza has always been known for its minigames, and even with the zombie apocalypse going on, there's still a lot to distract you in safe areas, including pachinko parlors with Sega-themed machines and hostess clubs where you can attempt to woo the girls. If you're looking for a massage, though, keep in mind that in this upside-down world, it's not always business as usual. With so much borrowing of people and places from past Yakuza games, there sure is a lot of recycling going on in Dead Souls. Thankfully, all the reused material at least looks broken down and destroyed enough to provide an appropriately ruined backdrop for the story. The game is capable of deploying zombies in large groups, and manages to pipe in reinforcements without being too conspicuous, but things get noticeably choppy when there's too much going on at once. On the plus side, Yakuza still does a great job with the expressive digital faces in its cutscenes, and the voice performances are a perfect fit. The game also provides a spooky but energetic soundtrack that fits both the mood and the action. Despite some compromises and cut corners, the presentation issues don't do much damage to how the game plays. Yakuza Dead Souls feels like a semi-serious experiment. There's plenty of evidence that the developers care about the characters and the overall quality of the experience, but it has some difficulty justifying itself as a full-price game. There's fun here, but it comes with some unavoidable roughness. It's tough to get excited about a zombie game that's only decent, but whether it's Yakuza's special history or inimitable blend of drama and absurdity, there's something here that might be worth biting into.
かかってこいや!